Well, hello everyone. My name's Deb and welcome to my channel DB Designs and Sewing Australia. Welcome back to all my subscribers and a very warm welcome if you're new. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I made up my beautiful visage textured fabric that I purchased from the Dahlia Sewciety, and I've made the Style Arc yo-yo skirt. I will insert photos as we go. Well, I made up my beautiful visage sweater knit that I bought from the Dahlia Sewciety, and the first thing I made was the yo-yo skirt by Style Arc. I will need to read. So this is a tube style skirt in a midi length. It's quite long on me. I will insert photos as we go, and it says it's calf length, but it's really a little bit longer than that on me. And I do the hem wherever I find aesthetically pleasing, not necessarily how the pattern or the width hem that the pattern recommends. And it's absolutely beautiful, and this fabric sews up beautifully. I did have an issue with my overlocker, and in the end I changed, and so I was doing practice and it would not sew properly. So in the end I sewed the whole thing with Mariflex thread, and I just did a 3-thread overlocking stitch. I have since fixed my overlocker, but you know, at the time I thought, I don't know what's wrong with you. And a really nice cover stitch hem. The cover stitch machine loved this fabric, but I must say I did press and tack that hem before I did a cover stitch on the hem. I'm having much more success with my cover stitch machine if I am doing a hem that's of any sort of depth like that one is. I'm having much more success if I tack it first, and because I didn't want to ruin this beautiful fabric, or I didn't want to have to unpick it. I don't know that this fabric could withstand very much unpicking, so I didn't have to unpick any of it. It all worked out beautifully. It's just a turnover waistband, and I just overlocked the edge of that, turned it over, left a space, threaded through the elastic. I did pop on a label so I would know which was the front and which is the back. Not that that makes any difference, because the pattern piece for the front and the back is the same pattern piece. So very, very pleased with the skirt. Really looks great. And I had done a tester last week. I think I showed you in the green cable knit, and I'm loving that skirt too. It's a great skirt pattern and really easy to wear, and you can wear it over leggings or stockings and boots or anything like that. And to go with the skirt, I made the Vera top. So this is the Vera top. Once again, cover stitch machine loving this fabric. It's loving it. I still had not fixed my overlocker at that stage, so once again I sewed the whole lot with the Mariflex thread and just did a 3-thread overlock stitch to neaten it all. Loving these cuffs. As you can see from the cuffs, maybe that one colour's easier to see. These are actually a shaped cuff. As well as being a long cuff, you can see it's narrower at the actual wrist part here. And I just love the way this sits. Now, the first time I made it, I put a band on the bottom. It was the mauvey lavender coloured one. But this time I left the hem straight as the pattern was meant for. And I'm just loving it. So it's the fullness of the sleeves that does it for me. That's why it's such a beautiful, beautiful finish on it. And with this sleeve, as you can see, there's heaps of fabric So you actually do a gathering stitch and gather that up. I only do a single gathering stitch because it's a knit, but all of the bands, so the sleeve band and the neck band, when I sewed them together and then pressed them in half wrong sides together, ready to sew on, I tacked them together so that those bands would not come apart at all when I was stitching them on. And I think with the cuffs, I actually tacked the cuff to the sleeve before I sewed it as well. And like the tacking, seriously, I don't think people call it tacking now. That's what we called it in the old days. I think they call it basting, but it's all done by hand. We called that hand tacking, and the other part where you were putting in notches and dots and all that, we called tailor's tacking. But tack that all together. Once again, tack the hem as well. Really, really happy with the finish on this fabric. It actually presses really well, but I do use an organza cloth to press over. I don't think that's 100% wool, and even if it was, you wouldn't want to put a hot iron on it, and I actually prefer to use quite a hot iron on things. And so I find if I use a cloth, this makes sure that you don't burn your fabric or melt your fabric in some cases. Now I did have a little bit of fabric left, and when I mean a little bit, just a little bit. So I made the Marlo sweater vest hack. It really is quite a cute little vest. Once again, I still hadn't fixed my overlocker. I didn't fix it until after I'd finished everything, I think. And managed to get the bands out. You notice that the center front band runs downwards, which was not the way I would have usually done it. Because when I'm thinking of making it in a rib, the rib is very, very stretchy, so I don't really want that downward stretch. Even though it has interfacing, I think from, my interfacing goes, I think from here to here in both sides, I still would prefer to do the bands stretching across way like the actual body of the vest is. Managed to do some buttonholes. I used Mariflex thread for the buttonholes. I can still see it on my sewing machine over there. So I only finished the vest last night. The vest probably took the longest of all. I'm telling you, the skirt, I'd done my video last week on the Sunday, and then I started to cut things out, and I only cut them out one at a time. So first of all, I cut out my skirt, and I thought, oh, I'll just sew that up. Within 40 minutes, the whole thing was finished. And because my cover stitch behaved so well, really, really quick sew for that skirt. It's basically a tube, seams on each side, turn over waistband, and turn up your hem. So very, very quick. And if you were using a different type of fabric that you didn't want to tack or anything like that, it would be even faster. But very, very happy with this little vest. And now the scraps I have left are literally little tiny pieces this big, because I had to piece together to get enough fabric for the vest. But really, really happy with the vest. I think it might be quite a versatile piece. I'll have inserted photos all over it. And so that was my make. Very thrilled with that fabric. So if you're looking to buy that fabric and you want to know the quality of it, beautiful, feels lovely on the skin. This is the inside of the fabric. So you can see the pattern through it there, but very, very soft and very, very nice. And as you can see, it looks like I've pressed the hell out of this stuff, but I haven't. I do iron and press things because I'm an ironer. Haven't ironed any towels this week, which would be novel. but it stays looking so pressed and so neat. Something that I like. Not that I'm OCD, but you know. And you can see from the skirt, that's just been folded up. And it was actually folded up all night and just put on top of my ironing board. And this will be a great travelling item, I think, because no need to press. Not going to look all creased up and wrecked once it's been in the case. I will be taking that away with me today later on when we're going to Bendigo, which is in country Victoria, for the long weekend, King's birthday weekend. So I will be testing that out in a case. So, and today I'm wearing, I'll pop in a photo, my Lander pants, which is made in a little bit of a thinner type of denim. It's not chambray, but it's just denim, and it's slightly lighter weight. It's not a heavyweight denim. And I really love these jeans, absolutely love them. And one of my black polo necks, which is a Trudy turtleneck, sorry, not a polo neck. And the thrifted jacket that I bought last time I was at Christmas time when I was in Castlemaine. Now, the next thing I did was I cut out some items. So I have cut out the Tommy jeans skirt. Now I cut this out in a green, slightly stretched denim. Not really very much stretch, but anyway, that won't matter, it's a skirt. So denim, and I had bought YKK zips that you could dye, and so this used to be natural coloured, and so I've dyed that green. Not the exact match, but I think it's pretty good. So all I did was get some, I think it's, I'm not sure if they call it right or rich dye. I think they call it right dye. In a bottle rather than the powder, because that way I could use just a tiny bit. Little container, put some dye in, dip some boiling water out of the kettle in it, pop the zip in it, left it in it for 40 minutes, rinsed it till the water was running clear. As you can see, there's a little bit of extra dye here on that. That's because I just draped it over the tap in the laundry to dry. And I'm really, really pleased with how that dyeing job came out. I'm glad I bought some of those natural coloured zips, because as you know, I do like to make quite bright coloured things. And so it's never going to put me off thinking I won't be able to get a zip to match. I think when I made my pink jeans, I put a white zip in them. Yeah, but that would have been the same thing. The only problem I have got with this is I could not get any top stitching thread that matched. So I actually chose this, which is a goldy colour, a traditional jean top stitching colour. But I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure if I should go and get 2 reels of cotton that match and do double thread, or if I should choose a different colour. Let me know what you think, because I'm open to any suggestions for what colour. So this is the colour of the denim, and when I'm looking on my screen now, this is very, very true to colour. Weird how some colours are true to colour and some are not. I can see it when it's in here, it's not true to colour. So it's obviously the light that's reflected off it that says whether or not it is. That's the inside. But I just don't, should I go for black? Should I go for navy? I don't want to restrict myself with what I wear with it, which is why I was sort of going to go for that, which is why I was sort of going to go for that. I found I already had a tiny bit left on a reel, but it looks okay. yeah, so I did find that I had some in the same colour of a tiny bit left, but if you've ever sewn jeans, you know that you use practically a whole reel of top stitching thread. Remembering it's a thicker thread and it only has 30 meters on it. So that's the difference between that and regular polyester thread by Gutermann. But I just don't know. Should I be doing a darker color? I'll show you the other colors I've got. So these are the only other colors I've got. The purple, I've got another reel of this, but it's practically got only the same amount on it, so I would have to buy a new one. And I don't know about purple with it. And this is like a charcoal color. And for some reason I bought a big reel of this with 100 meters on it. But I don't know. Should I be doing black? And I've got some white. Must have been from when I made my white jeans. Oh no, actually, it's going to be, this is going to be a brand new reel. I must have bought 2 reels for the white jeans because this hasn't got a hole in the top, so it's not been on a sewing machine yet. So that's my dilemma. What colour top stitching will I do on that green? And it seems to be a bit of a theme when you're buying coloured denim that you can't buy the top stitching thread. So I'm not sure that I can buy exactly the same colour thread. I will check it out next time I go to probably Spotlight. Spotlight seem to have the biggest range of your polyester threads, Gutermann, which is usually the brand that I buy. I have got a piece of fabric in my handbag like I always do. So that's my dilemma at the moment. Which top stitching thread to use for that. Now the next thing I cut out was a long sleeve patina blouse. So I have actually got this in a green Tencel Capro. This is beautiful fabric, but I can already tell it's going to crease up like Billy-O, but it does have great drape. Great drape. So I've got that cut out and ready to go for a long sleeve patina blouse, which has got button cuffs, all the rest of it. I'm going to try and make sure it's not too low this time. Last time I made it, it was low, and as there's plenty of room in it, I did reduce the shoulders when I cut it out, the height from here to here, because there's plenty of room under the arm, and I cut out the width the same, but I thought in this fabric, because it's already fraying everywhere, I would do French seams. So if you do French seams, it's always going to make it slightly smaller in my opinion, unless you're overly careful, but that is what I have envisaged that I will do. I just don't want it to be too low, not that I'd be wearing it to work, although the boss is going on 3 weeks holiday, so might be a time for me to wear my me maids. We'll see. The last thing I got cut out was a Tazuti robe. Now, I have made several of these robes before. In fact, I've made 5 of them before, because I've made one for each of my sisters and one for myself. So that's the line drawing. It's a beautiful robe, except that it goes from size 0 to 3, and I actually made everyone's in size 3, thinking that it's not going to matter if mine's really, really big. But in fact, it does matter. So it could wrap around twice, and it means that the arms, when you wrap it, are coming too far around to the front. And so this time, I cut out a size 1, which is the only size I'll be. And the beautiful fabric that I cut it out in is my Empress fabric. So I'm going to make that into a beautiful robe. Now this was from the March bespoke box from the Dahlia Sewciety, and I hadn't decided what to do with it. Now this is a linen blend. It's actually a beautiful fabric, really, really lovely, and quite a nice weight to it. So it's not really lightweight, it's not heavyweight. I think it's going to make a beautiful robe. And I was never really much into making pajamas, dressing gowns and all that sort of thing until I made the pajamas at the beginning of the year when I made the Caroline pajamas. And then I decided from then on that I really would like some really nice pajamas other than ones from Kmart, which is all I ever used to really buy. Now, the trim I'm going to put on this, I'll tell you what I bought. Now weirdly the pink doesn't look like the pink colour it is. It's actually, looks a bit weird and orangey there. I bought some piping in pink and purple. And what I was going to try and do was I was going to try and make double piping so that it would be like that. And if we get a piece of fabric, so that it would look like that on the edges. Purple, pink, then the fabric. And so it has got a few places that you can pop the piping. So as you can see, it's got bands all the way down the front. You could put it on the tops of that pocket there, on the cuffs, and you could even put it here on the sleeves. Not sure that I would do where the sleeves join, but yes. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have to sew the piping together at the very beginning to make sure it stays together, or if it, because it may be too difficult to sew if it's shifting around. And I must say, I bought this piping from, I think it was a place called RJ Trims or something like that. Sort of a place that sells dance trim, I think. Because if you remember, when I made my Caroline pajamas, I actually had to make my own piping. And this was cheap, really, really cheap. And I must say, it feels a bit cheap. It feels cheap compared to the one I made myself, which I made from satin bias tape with the piping cord inside it. The only problem I've got with making my own piping, which is actually easy to make, is the cost of the piping cord. The cost of the piping cord is huge, and that's even at a place like Spotlight that is reasonably priced. So hence why I went for a pre-made where I could get them quite cheap. And when I do look on a lot of sites, so I think Sewing Gem have a lot of piping, the colours that I wanted are sold out. So I decided to go with this one. And so they're okay, it'll work. I mean, it's not really even going to be against your skin. It's just that it's not beautiful like the piping I made myself, and I guess that's what I'm comparing it to. So I'll have to see how that goes, but I really think I may have to sew those piping to each other. You know what? That's probably worth the time and effort doing. And that way, then you're just treating it like one piece of piping when you're stitching it to your garment, you know, in the sewing process. So I think I probably will do that. And to be honest, you could just have both of those rolls going and just make a huge, long, that'll be my sister. So I think it's going to be worth stitching those two lots of piping together, because I'm not going to have to worry about it separating, moving apart, or being different, spaced apart. You know, I really want it to butt up really close to each other, and I won't have to worry about that in the sewing process if I've already done that. So that's what I've got in the works. Made a bit of work for myself, haven't I? So highly, highly recommend the Style Arc Yo-Yo skirt and the beautiful Vera top with the gorgeous cuffs and that fabulous fabric, because I know that Kristen has got several other sweater knits now too. She's got a lovely zebra looking one as well, I think now. Yeah, so if you wanted to know what the quality of that fabric was like and how easy it is to sew, very easy to sew. Make sure you press with a cloth. Take your time. Like, I am a fast sewer, and so I don't always take my time with everything. But I took my time with that, and it has come up beautifully. So very, very pleased with that. Having said that, please like and subscribe. I'm off to Bendigo now. I can hear my sister ringing me because she's coming to pick me up. And the four of us will travel down in her car, meeting 4 others there, and hoping for a wonderful long weekend. Let's hope it doesn't rain, and it's not looking too good, but you know what? There always is Prosecco and playing cards in by the Cunara heater. So that should be a fun weekend. Everybody have a great weekend. Hopefully you get some sewing done. I won't be getting any sewing done, but that's okay because I'll be having a good time. See you all next week. Bye.